I'm pretty glad about it. It's about time we get our fair shake. You ladies have had a long time. Yeah.
You guys really should be making more money. You should have.
Guys, what did I miss?
Deanna, it's International Men's Day.
Yes, and we have an international male here on the show this evening, Mr. John Hanson. We celebrate you for about 30 seconds. Yay!
I get 30? All right. Well, I would like to thank all the people of Earth, but especially all the men who nominated me for this International Male Day or whatever. We've had it bad for a long time, men have, so I'm glad we're getting it. Anyways.
Tears. I can feel the tears.
Guys, I get to knock off Thursday.
Okay. Yay! Thursday's done.
I promise I won't do this next week. Yeah, this will be the last time I use this whiteboard for this, but I've already committed to
you only really
bit,
get to do this you only get to do it like twice a year.
Yes. So enjoy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. You guys, it took them 7 years, and John, you'll be super excited about this one. Wrigley Field is now listed as a National Historic. So what that essentially does is it gives the Ricketts family, who owns the Cubs and Wrigley Field, access to federal income tax credits, which is good for them considering they spent about $1 billion in renovations on the field since 2014 or the end of the 2014 season. It's just crazy how long it took for them to get the status. They applied for it 7 years ago.
Yeah, I want to wax poetic about how Wrigley Field, built in 1914, Cubs started playing there in 1916. The ivy on the walls there in 1937, same with the big scoreboard. But it's also for tax reasons. Let's not kid ourselves. It should be a landmark. It is a landmark. That's great. But they're going to get a lot of money back from all the money they spent on renovating the place. And to their credit, it's better to renovate it and stay in a historic ballpark that's half a block that away from me than move somewhere else. But, it's a little both.
Yeah, 100% for money. Obviously, that's what they do. But $1 billion. My goodness, my mind's still caught on that. However, it's nice. It means so much to Chicago. It's nice to see that it's going to be protected, and hopefully it'll be there for years to come.
For sure. Okay, guys, for 10 years, Sean Michael Felix has used paint and glass to create magic in his Humboldt Park studio. And he's been using that form to try a lot of different things, ornamental styles out of the past. And he continues to keep the style of decorative glasswork alive.
Hey, my name is Sean Michael Felix. I'm an artist and owner of Illumination Art and Design Studios here in Chicago. And I am a glass artist. Glass is my canvas. Illumination Art and Design, can I help you? I've been in this line of work for about 20 years now. I have had my own studio for the last 10 years. I am more of a decorative artist than what they would consider a fine artist. I'm a little more commercial, and I'm unapologetic about that. I'm unapologetic about ornamentation. I love it. I don't like minimalism, obviously. It's not necessarily a lost art, but it is somewhat rare. As far as inspiration goes, when I was young, very young, like a teenager, I thought that I wanted to be an illustrator. And to me, the Victorian era artists like Alphonse Mucha, he did all the famous ladies and flowers of the Art Nouveau era. This is what I considered to be the type of art that I wanted to do. So I think I was always past looking. I think I always liked that Victorian, Edwardian era. And I think a lot of that influence is reflected in my work. I've done work for churches, I've done work for design firms and architects, collectors of memorabilia. I've done restorations on old houses and stained glass windows. Even though I work in glass, it kind of takes me all over the place. Well, my favorite piece is probably the piece that I spent the most time on, and it's this stained glass piece here with this woman with a Renaissance lute. I like the design of it. I have antique rondelles from the 19th century incorporated into this glass. So it's kind of a labor of love, and it's kind of the centerpiece of my studio. I would like to see my work continue long after I'm gone, because I think this old school work is timeless. And I hope to think that in 50 or 100 years, people will still be trying to emulate this kind of work.
Oh man, incredible. To check out more of Sean's work, you can head over to illuminationartanddesign.com. Also follow him there on Facebook and Instagram. And if you know anyone that goes above and beyond for their community, we want to share their story. So send us your nomination to jamreelshy at WCIU.com.
Well, Mariano's is doing their part in the pandemic. They are offering rapid COVID-19 antibody testing. $25 and your results in 15 minutes could help you find out if you're actually carrying that antibody. And remember, these are for people who have been positively diagnosed with COVID, but they're showing no symptoms. If that is you, you can register at marianos.com.
I love it. I wish they had this for COVID testing, but again, that wouldn't make sense to go to the grocery store if you have symptoms. So I can kind of see this is for people that are not symptomatic, that maybe wonder if they've had it in the past. But this sort of data is helping epidemiologists. So I think it's important that the more people that can get it, and the test used to be really expensive and now it's kind of gone down in price. So yeah, walk in, start the test, go buy your turkey on your way out, get your test results. And maybe you found out that you were COVID positive, which I know sounds terrible, but at least it's like, hey, I might be immune from this thing for a little bit.
Right. Well, because that also could help decide whether or not, and I know there's a lot of information we need to get out, whether or not we have vaccines or not. But if you're, have an antibody and maybe you're not the first in line because you feel like if you have an antibody, maybe you're safer. I don't know. That might not be real science I'm speaking right now, but at least knowledge is power, right?
Knowledge is power. But power can be a bad thing. But yes, I generally agree with you.
Well, and you guys, as COVID restrictions continue to get tighter, the grocery store shelves are once again emptying out. Dozens of people hoarding rolls of toilet paper, paper towels, and cleaning supplies. So, does the pandemic make you a hoarder? Because I will say, since this started, every single time I go to the store, if there is a disinfectant that kills 99.9% of bacteria in stock, I buy it. We have an entire cabinet full because I have not used it, but I keep buying it. But that's my thing. What about you guys?
See, this right here makes me angry because I haven't seen a Clorox of a wipe since the year 2019. I cannot find them because they're all in your house. You have them.
I only buy one at a time.
I can't get them.
No, I buy one at a time. But if I see them, I grab them because I'm like, well, they're going to be out if it gets worse, which it is.
I have not changed anything at all. I have never bought any more toilet paper. The only thing I did is like in March, I bought a bunch of ingredients and made a giant thing of Tupperware of chicken noodle soup, and it's sitting in the freezer. Because if I do get COVID, I'm going to be eating a lot of chicken noodle soup just to make me feel better. But that's it. That's the only planning I have done. I don't want to contribute to the hoarding situation. I'm not much of a prepper in general, as my coworkers know. So yeah, this is just par for the course for me. But that does make me think that I'm not playing this so smart. Perhaps I should be doing it differently, but I don't like contributing.
Well, I'm not normally like a hoarder type person. Like we buy our groceries as we need them. Even when this pandemic started, I didn't run out and buy extra toilet paper. None of us did. Like Todd didn't either. We were like, it's fine. It's the fact that the wipes and all the sanitizing products have been so scarce that I've been like, well, poop. I got to grab one every time I see it because they might be gone again. And now I have a whole bunch of them that we haven't used because I didn't really need that much.
How many in your closet right now, Amy?
So in terms of like the wipes, because that's been the hardest thing to find, Felicia, I totally agree with you. I now have 4 containers of them. But that's not that much. If you think about it, like every time I've gone grocery shopping that I found them because they're never around. I agree with you. I've only found them 4 times since the pandemic started, back in March. In a year, whatever, a few months time, that's, not that bad. It's not like I'm buying 30 of them.
Yeah. Okay. Next time, get me one.
Yeah.
I'll give you some else on your way.
That'd be great. Hey, it's Thursday, little throwback Thursday Thanksgiving edition. Found this really cool story about President Calvin Coolidge. So let me take you back to the 1920s, everyone. Lend me your ear. So it turns out that the first thing pardoned was not a turkey, right? Because that's what presidents do, but it was actually a raccoon. Yes. Back in the 1920s, raccoons, possums, squirrels, they were often the meat of choice for people in the United States. So someone sent Calvin Coolidge a big fat raccoon, but he liked it so much he made it his family pet. They put a collar on it. They walked it around the White House. It appeared at events. So there you go. Whenever President Trump pardons, well, usually it's one of his sycophant associates. But if he pardons a turkey this year, remember that it was the raccoon first.
That is odd on many levels, but I will say this. Listen, I'm all for it. If it fed the families, kept people healthy, that's great. And I could see President Trump maybe putting a collar on a turkey and walking him around the White House. I think he has
Felicia,
a name.
I've seen that look.
It might end with Barr.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See where I'm going with
Felicia,
that?
I've seen that look from you before. That's the not interested look, so we should probably just move on, huh?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about
Deanna, you like raccoons?
I don't have anything to say either. In fact, I hate raccoons. They're always in my alley. My dog has a heart attack every time she sees one. So it's a no for me. It's a no for
Well,
me.
eat them then. Eat them. Teach it a lesson.
Oh, no. All right, everyone, still ahead. We're talking about COVID numbers, what's going on here in the state. Plus, check this out. Harvard students are talking about a very specific ban that is causing lots of controversy on campus. We're going to break that story down in news you need to know coming up after this. Good evening, I'm Diana Gutierrez with news you need to know to end your day. Coronavirus deaths here in the state of Illinois have hit a record high. Right now, we're recording 168 deaths. That's the most recorded and reported since May of this year. Right now, there are more than 14,000 new confirmed cases. Governor J.B. Pritzker says COVID-19 is now the third leading cause of death in Illinois. The 19-year-old charged for buying the gun Kyle Rittenhouse used in the Kenosha shootings will stand trial. The 17-year-old Rittenhouse admitted he used his stimulus check to pay for that gun. And we have new shocking details in the kidnapping plot of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Fed docs say militia had a plan B and C to either televise the execution of public officials or burn down the state house and leave no survivors. Very shocking information there. And in election news, 2 Republicans on Michigan's election board want to change their election results vote. They claim they were pressured by the Democratic side. Trump reportedly called them to thank them for changing their vote. But the Dem vice chairman says everything is too late to make a change. Okay, but beside that, what everyone is really talking about is Rudy Giuliani's bad hair day, or should I say bad hair dye day? I don't know. It appeared that hair dye was streaming down his face when he was doing this press conference, And I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed. That looks like maybe Garnier or like Revlon that you get at Walgreens. I don't know. It's just like, that's crazy.
I don't know. I think that's his brain trying to leak out of his ears and escape his body from all the
Oh my
crazy things that he's
What?
saying. He's an insane person, and this press conference was nutso. This was like the 10th least nutso thing that happened in this press conference here today. The thing that really does worry me, though, in all seriousness, is that Trump is inviting the Michigan House and Senate leaders, both Republicans, for their state legislatures to the White House tomorrow to pressure them to have the Michigan legislature overturn the rights and the votes of the of Michigan residents. I don't think it's going to happen. It's far-fetched, but this is all starting into crazy town, and I'm oscillating between trying to stay sane and relax and be like, it's going to be okay, and my mind going insane. And I'm sure some of you feel the same way.
I can tell you which way you're leaning, John Hanson, right now. Might be a little on the insane side. I'm going back to the hair thing for a hot second because you know that spray that they use?
Right.
Yeah.
It almost looks like he had that spray on his head because that's what would have had to have like dribbled down his face. Like he was trying to spray in some spots on his hair. I know John Hanson wore some stuff on his beard. Maybe it's the same thing. If you got sweaty, John, you'd feel bad for him too.
No,
Yeah.
maybe.
So I mean, everyone has this. This is a common thing that happens. Now, for it to happen at a press conference is another thing. But I'm just kind of shocked that nobody helped him. No one came up with a napkin. No one. That was what I initially thought. I was like, "Where's the person that says, hey, sir, you know, here's a napkin for you. You need this." Like he has no friends.
Yeah, he had a napkin. He was
Exactly.
It was probably soaked. I mean, he was sweaty. And look, I sweat a lot, so I'm not trying to be mean about it. But he was like trying to do it, and it didn't work out all well. But we have a coup d'etat happening in our country immediately right now, so we have bigger things to worry about. But before we move on, I got to give props to whoever wrote this graphic. That's a good one. Don't sweat the frosting. Nice work.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys, check this story out. There's a petition going around at Harvard's Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, and it's definitely ruffling some feathers. So initially, it was to ban Trump administration officials from teaching, speaking, or even just visiting the university. Then, after some, obviously, discussion, it was changed to officials have to be held accountable before they get into those roles. Right now, it's unclear how many students have signed the petition, but it's definitely caused a lot of commotion on campus, to say the least.
Okay, I know what you guys are going to say. Let me tell you why I could see this being a good thing and having some validity. So I went to an HBCU, historically Black university, North Carolina A&T State University, in case you didn't know. Now, aside from my excellent education that I received there was also a culturally rich experience. And that culturally rich experience is extremely sacred. And when something is that sacred, you want to protect it. So in essence, I would definitely see my university being like, no, you can't come. And I could see Harvard having that same somewhat cultural experience. I've been there, not as a student, for fun. And I could see them wanting to protect that too.
Who went to Harvard for fun? Don't you go to like Wisconsin, Madison or something like that? I mean, really. But honestly, let's be honest. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You cannot prohibit someone coming to your campus to speak because you don't like what they have to say. It's called free speech. And the thing that makes us great Americans and better people is by listening to other people's experiences and their thoughts. That makes you a better person, a smarter person. So by prohibiting some people from speaking at their university is, however you want to put it, in some form or fashion, it's kind of racist.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know about racist, but I wouldn't say racist. I would say
it's not race. It's more of a thought process. But that's the best word I can come out with. That you mimics it.
That's fine. No, I kind of get what you're saying. It's divisive. It's trying to paint one side better than the other. I agree with everything Amy said. I don't need anything more to that. We'll be back after this.
Well, it is November, and for many of us out there, time for open enrollment and a chance to figure out what health insurance is best for you and your family. We have bestselling author, podcaster, and CEO of HerMoney.com, Jean Chatzky, joining us to navigate the waters. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so what are the first things that we really need to look for?
So first you need to understand what sort of plans you're being offered. And you've likely got a choice between an HMO, which requires you to stay in network, probably costs a little bit less, a PPO, which lets you go out of network, but may be a little more expensive in terms of premiums, and a high deductible health plan, which may come with a health savings account or the ability to open a health savings account. This can be substantially cheaper in premium, but will cost you more when it comes to your deductible.
I think a lot of times people feel like, I'm just going to go with the more expensive one because it probably will cover me better.
You know, we did some research, the folks at GEHA, the Government Employee Health Association, and found that you're right. A lot of people just say, yes, I'm going for that. But 60% say in hindsight, they bought more coverage than they needed. So they spent more money than they needed to spend, which is why the other important thing to look at is, how do I use health insurance? How do I use healthcare? How often do I see a doctor? When it comes particularly to those health savings accounts, there are a lot of companies, employers, as well as insurers that may contribute towards your deductible, which can defray the cost of that deductible. So you want to see if that's available to you, as well as any wellness incentive dollars.
Explain the difference for folks between HSA and FSA.
FSA is a flexible spending account. Whatever money you put into that account each year, you have to use during that time period, or it reverts to your employer. HSAs don't work like that. You put money in, that money is yours to keep forever. If you change jobs, through retirement, it can even become a supplemental retirement account. And there are a lot of really great tax benefits to using an HSA. The money goes in pre-tax, it can grow tax-free, it comes out tax-free, and the upshot is that it can save you about 25% on anything that you pay with out of HSA dollars.
So you also mentioned dental and vision. Say you're looking at a health care plan that doesn't include those, but it seems to have the better coverage that you want, or you have one that has slightly less coverage in your medical, in terms of your medical, but it has dental and vision. What's the smarter way to go?
I would take a look at your history over the past couple of years and see what you tend to use in terms of how often do you go to the doctor? How often do you buy prescription? How often do you go to the dentist? How often do you buy glasses or contacts, and how much do you spend? And then I would think about the next 6 to 12 months and what's coming your way. Are you likely to need a root canal? Are you looking at some dental coverage that a lot of people have been putting off dental during the pandemic? Is it time for you to head back to the dentist? And the same is true of your health care. Have you put off surgeries? Are you planning to have a baby? It's really all about matching your needs up with a particular policy, which is why it's so important to shop for your health care rather than just check the box on what you got last year. I put together a guide to help people through this. It's a guide for shopping, and you can find it at geha.com/shop2020.
Some fantastic tips. Jean, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and her latest book is Women with Money, the Judgment-Free Guide to Creating the Joyful, Less Stressed, Purposeful, and yes, Rich Life You Deserve. You can get more details at jeanchatzky.com and at Jean Chatzky.
Okay.
Someone say something.
We're
I was
just
like,
hours from Friday.
camera.
That's when we can always celebrate.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Sure can.
Almost there.
I got nothing, guys. I'm sorry. I usually am so full of talkative things.
Something.
We're,
So full of something.
this is how exciting things are behind the scenes, everyone. In our group chat right now, we are talking about healthcare plans. I mean, that makes sense because, with Amy's great interview, which gave us a lot of tips. But now we're talking about the difference between FSAs and HSAs. So
I'm learning a lot, I have to add. I'm taking notes.
John said he didn't have anything to say, yet here he is taking up all the hot air.
I'm like Superman. I come to the rescue when we need something to blah, blah, blah about.
Oh, yes, we are back. It is Friday Eve, better known as Thursday. I am alongside John Hanson and Felicia Lawrence. It is going to be a great evening, even better Friday. Isn't that awesome, guys?
It is amazing.
It was good weather today, too. A little windy. Tomorrow looks okay, too. So we're doing fine.
You know what it is, John? It's good running weather. And you know why I bring that up? Because folks that who registered for the Chicago Marathon for 2020, today is the day you can start re-registering for the 2021 Chicago Marathon. Now, it's only the people that registered for the 2020 that got pushed off that can register because those spots are open first for them. Then they'll open it up for the rest of the general public who wanted to run in 2021. But be aware, the Chicago Marathon typically fills up really quickly. So get your butt in there and start registering if you plan to run.
You guys, I think I might do this. I think I'm going to do it.
You can't
No,
bike.
I'm just playing.
I'll do it with you, please.
I just loved how you guys were even suspect of me saying that.
You would show up with 2 wheels and you'd be like, all right, let's go. And they'd be like, this is a running race.
Wait, 26.2 miles. I would still not make it on a bike. 0.3. I would still not make it on a bike. I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it.
But someday, girl, you'll get there.
That's nice to say. 2020 is the year of the pivot. And Chris Bosh knows that better than anyone. The NBA legend is now doing music. He joins us now. Chris, thanks for being here. And how did you get into music? How long have you been doing this?
Oh man, it's a nice little process. It's crazy. It kind of just started out as something I had to find that other thing to do because I had never given everything I did was for basketball, and in my health situation, the first time it happened, I pretty much started asking myself questions that I had never had to answer before, which was, what else do you like? In following my heart, I read all these books and it says you got to follow your heart and you've got to do what you're truly passionate about doing. And the next thing I know, I had a guitar in my hand because I always had given up throughout my life on learning an instrument. I said, man, I'm going to learn an instrument and I'm not going to put it down until I learn it. If I don't put it down, I'll learn it. I know this. So it started with the guitar and then, it really started slowly evolving from that.
I saw a video on Daddy Jack Records Instagram. It was you playing with Buddy Guy, Chicago blues legend Buddy Guy.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What's the connection there?
My wife surprised me with that. So D-Wade was still playing in Chicago, and I hadn't seen him in a while, and I was just kind of starting to peek my head and actually go places. Since I hadn't played basketball anymore. And so we went up there to go visit him and see him. And my wife surprised me. I think it was the next day. She didn't want to tell me. I was at the stage where I was bringing my guitar everywhere with me. And she didn't tell me, but she told me pretty much that day, said, I don't want to tell you. I didn't want to mess up the surprise, but you're going to play with Buddy Guy at his club tonight.
And you have recorded some songs?
Yes.
Tell me about those.
Well, we've recorded, recording is just a part of music. Quite recently, since I've been here in Austin, I've been working with Austin artists and just trying my best to, one, I think the talent is phenomenal here and just trying to bring more attention to that. And, two, you see how many other facets to the business there is, and that includes publishing. That includes team management, having the correct PR, all these different kind of facets of the business start coming up, and you've really got to be on your toes.
You have so many things going on. You're also writing a book. Tell me about that.
Yes, we're writing a book. It's myself and Ryan Holiday as the co-author, and it is called Letters to a Young Athlete. And it's pretty much, focusing on aspects that I learned from basketball pretty much. So, leadership, communication, visualizing your goals, handling criticism, those are all going to be pillars really that we talk about. And I'm going to give you some examples how it helped me all the way from a young, very, very young boy to a basketball player and how they helped me excel on the court.
What do holidays look like in the Bosh family household?
Well, obviously this one is different.
Yes.
We're always going to be on top of each other. I have 5 children. So
you're busy.
We're always busy. It'll be no school. I'm kind of happy about no school. I'm actually looking forward to the Christmas break for once because I don't, trying to parent and they call me Principal Bosh. Trying to be Principal Bosh around here is tough. It's a lot of work, but, we, a lot of pictures, a lot of food. We've pretty much created our own bubble down here in Austin.
Nice.
So, we have a full house pretty much, to say the least.
Make sure you're following Chris Bosh and Daddy Jack Records on social media. Keep up with all his new ventures.
Oh, wonderful. And some wonderful news for folks on the southwest side of Chicago in the West Chatham neighborhood. The Walmart there is reopening on Friday with a brand new health clinic. It's been closed for the last 5 months, but now bringing affordable, accessible care to the community. We're talking about optometrists, dental care, primary care physicians. They're going to have an ancillary staff of about 50 people there to take care of people. Something really, really needed and wonderful in these times when health is on the forefront, that they can have a place to turn to, really.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, communities sometimes they get shunned in a sense of not having all the resources there. And I know the Chatham neighborhood, I know this is West Chatham, it said, but the Chatham neighborhood has lost like Target and a couple of other stores that are really, really key. So to have this come back and to offer even more services, really big.
I was kind of blown away during the press conference today that the president-elect had. They were talking about coronavirus, and obviously this will do a lot more than helping people with COVID. But they were talking about the distribution of the vaccine, and they say it doesn't matter if you can't get it to neighborhoods where people can have access to it quickly. That's how equity breaks down, and how you repair it is by providing places just like this. I know that was a COVID-specific example, but it applies to all healthcare, and I think this is great.
So true.
Wonderful.
This upcoming weekend is when friends usually have their own Thanksgiving celebration with their closest pals. We're checking out some creative ways to celebrate virtual Friendsgiving this year. And we've got celebrity party planner Debi Lilly here with more. Debi, this Thanksgiving is going to look very different this year.
It sure is, but we are here to share some fun new traditions we could all start, trying to be very safe and socially distant.
I just love a Debi Lilly setup. Like every time you even come on screen, I'm like jealous, inspired, all the feelings at once. So let's dive right in. How do we make this fun? How do we make this look good for our friends?
Well, number one, it's really safest to be outside. And if you can't gather together socially distant outside, like around a fire pit Friendsgiving is what we're doing, then you could do virtual Thanksgiving. Number one, you could figure out what's the best way for everyone to connect virtually. Maybe it's through Zoom, maybe it's through FaceTime. Number two, you could actually do cooking together online, whether you're doing it right before the meal or you're even gathering together a few days before. You could be making all your wonderful Thanksgiving sides together, sharing favorite family recipes, teaching each other how to do it. And of course, it's all about a signature cocktail. And that's another really fun way to gather together, even if it's virtual. You could do a fun little workshop. Maybe each person in the family or your Friendsgiving group has a favorite cocktail. You could teach people how to mix things up, like a rosemary simple syrup that you can then to your mulled cider with a little bit of rum. I think it's all about really figuring out how to do things in a new way, even setting the table. Flowers and fresh, beautiful details around your fire pit or on your table have never been easier. Our friends at Sami Sacha Flowers deliver these right to your door from the farm, and you can order them right online at samisachaflowers.com. You can also remember this is engagement season. Did you know that the holidays kick off 75% of the year's engagements? So of our favorite new boutiques right at Oakbrook Center has not only all kinds of beautiful engagement rings, jewelry, all the accents that you need for any kind of Friendsgiving, but they also do everything online. Again, I think this holiday season is all about how are you comfortable. You can be online together, you can be in person, outside, socially distant together. It's really up to everyone how they want to spend their time.
Oh, this looks so amazing. Debi Lilly has a fire pit. She has diamonds. She has cocktails, John. And look, the plot thickens. What else is that? Are those sweets?
So this is my favorite thing to make for Thanksgiving. You take mini pumpkins, you carve them out, almost like you're making a jack-o'-lantern. You fill them with whatever you want. We did a delicious wild rice with sausage and all kinds of yummy little quinoa and vegetables. And you just roast these right like this in the oven for about an hour till they're done. I'm serving them up right in the cute little skillet. Are those not adorable?
They are so incredible. The drink looks good. Everything looks great. Debi, I think we settled it. Felicia, we're coming over, right?
Yes!
Debi, you always make it shine. I know it's difficult for people this year, but I think that this could be an opportunity to try something new, do something different, and most of all, impress and make your other friends jealous. Thank you so much for stopping by, Debi, or letting us stop by with you.
Come back soon.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, you can check out DebiLilly.com. visit Debi Lilly on all of her social media pages. Guys, I'm not even joking. It's some of the most beautiful stuff. You're going to be inspired every time you talk or visit Debi Lilly's pages. Cheers, Debi.
Cheers. Happy holidays.
Cheers. Bye.
Oh, she is amazing. All right, guys. A 19-year-old babysitter is duking it out with the parents that she sits for after they asked her for $650 in compensation. So this is why. Apparently, the kids who were 7 and 9 years old that she was babysitting were doing really good. So she rewarded them by getting them Chicken McNugget Happy Meals. Well, mom and dad come home while the kids are eating the McNugget Happy Meals and find out, oh, hey, kids are vegetarians. How could you give my kids meat? And now the mom wants compensation for feeding the kids non-vegetarian meals. Go ahead.
I think it's crazy nuts, though. It's one meal.
Right.
It's
Kids
one
wanted it too.
meal. And I
It's
can
one
understand, wanting to take that 100% as seriously. I can understand you being upset. It's your kids. They're still young, so she still has a lot of control over what they eat. And I'm sure she's worked hard, very hard up until this point. But you didn't tell the sitter that they were vegetarian. And even if she made a mistake or did it just out of spite, it's still one meal. Calm down.
And a strange amount of money, too. $650.
Yeah, $650. Like, what's that number coming from?
Yeah.
What?
Deanna.
Well, now we know that babysitter's probably not coming back to the house, right? At least we can all agree on that.
Yes.
Okay, coming up after the break, the Fresh Prince reunion has us all nostalgic for the 90s, but it was a very kind gesture from the prince himself that has the real fans talking. We're going to have that after the break. And 'tis the season, of course, of giving. We've teamed up with CD1 Price Cleaners to get gently used coats to kids in need. Just head over to any CD1 Price Cleaners from now until the end of the month to drop off your donations. We'll be right back. Okay, it's what we've all been waiting for, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion on HBO Max. Now, it's celebrating the show's 30th anniversary, and let me tell you, this reunion is the original cast, okay, including OG Auntie Viv, Janet Hubert, who actually shared the pain she felt after being let go from the show. Check this out.
Words can kill. But I lost everything. Reputation, everything. And I understand you were able to move forward, but you know those words, calling a Black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. It's the kiss of death, and it's hard enough being a dark-skinned Black woman in this business.
Oof, she later tweeted out, "My heart is so full right now. Will, you have freed me from this prison. Thank you." Whoa, that's
Wow.
heavy there.
Very heavy. And for it to be 27 years later and still so heavy, it's shocking. There's a lot of gravity to it. I mean, I'm glad to see them come together, reconciliation. It goes to show you that it's never too late. But the way she talked about it with her career, I was aware that there was a rift and that she was kicked off the show. But for it to stay with her for this long and to still be so like vivid in her life, it's a lot.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I got that correct. So did Will Smith call her difficult and that is what leaked out?
Yeah, I think that was just with like the reports at that time. And that she went on a barrage in the media trying to, clear her name. And she was very vocal about the show and working with Will Smith too. It wasn't good.
Well, props to her for being open and honest about that. Props for Will Smith for sitting there taking it and listening. And then I'm so glad that she had that freeing moment afterwards. And she says that it just kind of like lifted her out of that. It just goes to show that time heals a lot, but it doesn't heal all, but talking does. And just kind of freeing and offering, I don't know if it's forgiveness, but just moving past it can be such an important thing.
What I think we learned from a lot of that too is that, these actors and actresses, they are human beings too. They make mistakes. Yeah. And on that note, I got to talk to one of my favorite actresses today, Drew Barrymore, and she's got her new show that started in September on the CW network. And you know what? We got to talk a little bit about like who her favorite guests would be, could be coming up. You guys have had some really good guests on. A lot of your friends have been on so far. Do you have a favorite or do you have one that's coming up that you're super excited about?
Funny enough, odd that you would ask it that way. When I was able to find out this show is happening, yay, who would be your dream guest is sort of a common question.
Sure.
And it was always the same name, David Sedaris. He's one of my favorite writers of the history of literature. He is a humorist and an observationist, and he just talks about the human condition in ways that I didn't dream possible. And he is on the show today. And so this bucket list, and I've never met him before. So this show is very special because it's like an origin story of life for me. And but we have Lindsey Vonn, we have Liza Koshy, who's literally one of the world's biggest influencers. She has the mic to the next generation and uses it for such interesting, diverse, interests that she has. And then we're designing, we're cooking, we're talking beauty, and it's a mood board.
There you go. You can watch the Drew Barrymore Show weekdays at 5 p.m. on CW26. And we'll be right back.
All right, this is a big deal. After 15 seasons, the CW's Supernatural's finale airs tonight. So we caught up with the stars, Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles. They shared with us about what they hope the show's legacy will look like.
The inspiration that we were able to give people who watch the show manifested itself into giving us inspiration back, or in us receiving that inspiration to keep kind of doing what we were doing throughout the 15 years. And so I kind of feel like I hope the legacy is a number of things. One certainly being the relationship that the fans had with this particular story and the show and this cast of characters. I think was something that was truly unique to what we had in Supernatural compared to any other place.
I'm going to miss a lot about making Supernatural. And there's a lot I probably won't miss as well. You know, traveling all the time and being on an airplane and airports and being away from my family. But
I don't know. I bet you miss that. I bet there'll come a time where you'll be like, you know, I actually enjoyed that, being on an airplane, being able to unplug for several hours and not have to, you know. But yeah, no, I get you. It was a lot.
In 15 seconds till that starts on CW 26. It's a 2-hour special. Be sure to catch it. And we'll be right back.
Okay, I need to get this off my chest. So here we go. While y'all were roasting, talking smack about the Charlie Brown Rockefeller Christmas tree, I have an update for you guys. There was life on that tree, okay? A teeny weeny, small, tiny owl made it its home in the branches, and it turned out that that poor thing had not eaten in 3 days. So who cares about the tree at this point? Because that's pretty much dead or whatever, cut. Who cares? This thing was still, it was suffering.
Well, he's not anymore.
Well, yeah, he was yesterday.
And by the way, do you speak owl? Did you talk to the owl and go, are you suffering?
I mean, it's my favorite animal. Have some sympathy for owls.
Felicia, you and I are awfully quiet about this one.
I just want to maybe talk to owl. Let's name them. What do you think we should name them?
Little J. Like he can be Little Jam. Little Jam.
Oh,
Little Jam. Oh, Little Jam. Jam.
There you go.
That's a jam.
Owls are also a bad omen. I'm just going to say that. All right, guys. I have a question for you.
Well, the jerk store called. They're running out of you.
It's a new edition, a new segment we like to call Is John a Jerk? So I got to ask you guys. No, there's actually...
Because they cut it right when the beat drops.
You can't hear that song and not dance. What?
All right, well... It's not a just general question because you could put it up at any time and you can answer, but I have a specific thing. All right, so over the years, I've accumulated a lot of gift cards to restaurants, right? We all do sometimes, little gifts we get here or there, and I haven't used them. But now I want to know, because I did this the other day from one of our famed Chicago restaurants. I paid for an entire meal using a gift card. Am I a jerk for doing that in the middle of a pandemic while restaurants are struggling?
Question, addendum to this whole amendment, yes. Did you pay a cash tip on the total bill prior to using the gift cards?
I added a cash tip. So I made them charge me $1 for like a to-go soda so I could tip on top of it.
Okay, so you paid
How much was
a cash
the
tip
tip?
on the total bill
We have
prior
15
to
seconds.
using
Let
the
me know
gift
if I'm a
cards.
jerk or not.
Because if that's the case, then no, you're not a jerk.
Okay.
No, you're not a jerk because you're in a pandemic too and you're saving money too.
I'm just going to say yes.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, John.